Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is Donovan, and today I want to talk about a watch that I have actually been very impressed with, a super budget-friendly GPS smartwatch from a company called iWOWNfit. So that is right here. It's available right now on Amazon.com, as you can see right down here, for $75. So super budget-friendly GPS smartwatch, and I've got to say, my expectations were quite low, and this watch has by far exceeded my expectations. I've reviewed some pretty terrible GPS smartwatches in this price range. A lot of times they have terrible heart rate monitors or terrible GPS. This one has not had an issue really whatsoever. Now there are a couple things that make it maybe not the best smartwatch out there available at this price range, but I do really like it. So we'll go ahead and talk about some of those things here in just a moment. So real quick, I want to bring in probably what I would argue is the best GPS smartwatch for budget-friendly minded people. So this is the Amazfit Bip. Has fantastic battery life. Unfortunately, I haven't charged it in a really long time, but this watch also has accurate GPS and heart rate monitoring. The retail price for this one's $100, but you can pick this one up right now at places like GearBest.com for $55. So I'm going to link both of these down in the description. So this one's $75. This one's as low as $55, but the regular retail price is $100. So Amazfit Bip for me probably is still the gold standard, but there are definitely ways that this watch beats the Amazfit Bip, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. So real quick, just some of the features they mention here on the box. So water resistant. This one is actually 5 atmospheres water resistant, so that is one advantage over the Amazfit Bip. This one's IP68. So this one can actually track your swimming, whereas this one cannot. Technically, you can go swimming with the Amazfit Bip, but because it's not 5 atmospheres, you really shouldn't be taking this, swimming for an extended period of time. Whereas this one, no problems whatsoever. I actually took it out to a water park yesterday, had no issues, had it underwater for extended periods of time, no problems whatsoever there. So full color display, as you can see. Now, one advantage the Amazfit Bip has over this one is that this one is on always on display. So you literally can't even turn it off. Obviously, when the battery's dead, you can turn it off. But this one has a transreflective display, and the display is always on. It's super easy to see in broad daylight, but actually so is this one because it gets plenty bright to see in the daylight. Also has sleep tracking, same as the Amazfit Bip. And then we have built-in GPS, heart rate monitor, ECG, and HRV. So those are both heart rate detecting things there. All right, so let's go ahead and set that off to the side. And I did also want to show you what it looks like compared to like my Apple Watch Series 3. You can see basically in terms of size, it's pretty much the same thickness, same size as what you get on the 42 millimeter Apple Watch Series 3 that I have there. Alright, so now let's go ahead and take a look at the hardware itself. So one disadvantage this has from the Amazfit Bip is that this one has a quick release band, so you can easily switch these out for whatever kind of band you want, whereas this one does not have removable bands, so that's maybe just a slight negative. I will say it's very comfortable to wear. This is a silicone band. I've had no issues wearing it at all, but I'm very used to wearing watches all the time anyways. But as far as buttons, we have 3 buttons. So this one is basically just kind of an on-off. Also, it's the button that's going to select options. So if you're hovering over something, it will select it. Over here, we have a back button and then a down arrow. So the down arrow is going to go through menus. So when you're in a menu, it will actually go through that. So right now, it's going to go through your activities. So if I hit that down arrow, it's going to go through my steps for the day so far, how much I've stood, and then also the number of calories I've burned, active calories that I've burned so far for the day, and then back to the main screen. So if I swipe over to the left, you can see we can go into sport activities. So we'll go through those in a little bit, and then my main menu, and then heart rate and fatigue is the health options as well. So those are the 4 main screens here. So real quick, we'll go up here into sports. You can see you can go into your most recent activity, so 4.24 miles, 30 minutes. You can see it does just a fantastic job. The GPS and the heart rate monitor on this are absolutely fantastic. So now I'm going to go back out of that, and we'll go into run. Okay, so up here is a little cog that's going to tell you just some of the options you have while you're running. So there's a heart rate alert. There's a Luma run. Basically, that's going to keep the screen on the entire time you're running. It's kind of annoying, though, honestly, because it flashes. And it flashes whatever color your heart rate is in. So if you're in the yellow zone, that means you're working kind of hard. Red means you're working very hard. But it has different heart rate zones, and it flashes based on those heart rate zones, which is quite annoying. I don't recommend necessarily using ILlumiRun, especially if it's late at night. It's just going to constantly be flashing. So mile alerts, of course, will give you mile alerts, and then GPS trace is turning the GPS on or off. And then we can go ahead and hit start. Now, the GPS, again, is very good. It takes about 10 seconds to lock on. Right now I'm indoors, so it's not going to lock on that quickly, but it does fantastic. I've had absolutely no issues with the GPS on this so far, which is really good for a watch at this price point. So that's pretty much it. Now, I can scroll through these. You can see that there's a few different running options. So there's an endurance option. So these are just different running options. So endurance, CPET, that's your VO2 max test. We can have a target distance, target time, or target calories that you want to burn. So back out of that. Same thing with cycling, fast walking, and climbing. Those all have the same options, so they all have GPS trace. They all have mile warnings and things like that. So those are all available. Down here, basically, it's just going to track your heart rate while you're doing the activities. So basketball, badminton, soccer, table tennis, volleyball. So you can see all the things that are available here. So a bunch of different activities, including swimming. All right, so next, let's go through the menu options here. So you can see in the messages, you can get very detailed information. So you can see my wife actually tried calling me 3 times in a row there. Got some Twitter notifications from Will, and you can go ahead and throw them in the trash too. You can also swipe to the left, and that will also delete them as well, as you can see there. And we'll back out of that. Then we have events, stopwatch, timer. And then in the settings, you can see we can change our watch face. There's 10 total watch faces, so we can just scroll through all those. So there's our watch faces. Some of them more digital, and then some of them more activity-based here. All right, and we'll go back into the settings. And then you can see we can change what the long press of this button does. We can turn on Smart Track, 24-hour heart rate, Do Not Disturb. 24-hour time, basically that's just going to toggle it between 12-hour and 24-hour time. Languages, we can adjust our brightness, and again, this watch face does get very, very bright, and then we just have some about and reset underneath that, and that's pretty much it. So that's it for the watch. Again, this thing has been really impressive when it comes to all of the things that we just mentioned. So again, heart rate monitor, GPS tracking has all been very good. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you the app that it uses to track all this in. So this is with my Samsung Galaxy Note 9. And I will mention that with the iPhone it does also work. However, I had one issue with it when I was using it with my iPhone, and that is, notice the steps here, the calories burned, the standing, it didn't reset every day. It was really strange, but it would not reset, so I don't really know what was going on there. But with my Android device, absolutely no issues whatsoever. So we can go up here, we can track some of the activities that we've done, so I can swipe between different days. So this was yesterday. Here's the activity that I did, so that same run, there's my GPS map. You can see the time, the heart rate. You can see heart rate was, I mean, it was dead on with my heart rate, so no issues at all with that. So really impressed by this. Even showed mile times down there if I go all the way down, so it'll track each mile time, as you can see here. So just super fantastic. A whole lot better than I was expecting from this watch. So it looks like I didn't have any sleep data. I think I actually took it off last night when I was wearing it. But the sleep tracking so far has been pretty good. No data today. I think that's because it's still refreshing, but we'll see. And then it also has fatigue options there as well. I'm going to go ahead and go into the device while it's doing that. So you can see I'm at 34% battery life on this. While I can't say that it's as good as the Amazfit Bip, they claim up to 30 days of battery life with this one. I generally was getting around 10 days of battery life with this one, whereas with this one I'm probably getting closer to like a week, maybe 4 to 7 days. 4 days would be if I'm using the GPS really heavily. But in general, still very good battery life. 4 to 7 days is definitely very doable. I'm not exactly sure what they claim for that one, but we can see alarms, sedentary reminder, smart reminders. This is where you're going to get your notifications. So you can see you can turn on different notifications, and then I can add apps. So if I want any other app like Facebook or something like that, I can add that down here as well. So any app that you have on your phone, you can get notifications from. So no issues there. date format, weather format, palming gestures, wear manner, that's just going to go between left and right wrist, imperial versus metric system. And if I come up here, nope, down here to the profile, you can see I can adjust my goal setting, so I can adjust how many steps and my goal weight. Go ahead and go out of that. And here's one thing that I really like about this, that it actually has an advantage over the Amazfit Bip, and that is with the linking. So this one has both Google Fit, and if this were connected up to an Apple Watch, it would have Apple Health there instead. So every bit of information that this collects, it can transfer over to either Google Fit or Apple. But then also Strava. So I use Strava very heavily. In fact, it is my, I guess, activity tracker of choice, and so the fact that this syncs automatically to Strava, all of my information, I really like that, and that is not available on the Amazfit Bip. This basically has the option of tracking it to its native app, just like this one does, and then Google Fit or Apple Health. That's it. So no Strava on this one. So anyways, I've been really impressed with the app as well. Really no issues, and so there we go. So now the sleep tracking, so I did wear it at night, but you can see with sleep tracking, it will actually go in depth, just like you would get on like something like a Fitbit watch. So some of the more expensive Fitbit watches will give you this detailed sleep information. So here you go. So light sleep 5 hours 7 minutes, deep sleep 50 minutes. Now I'm not really sure how accurate that is or not, because I don't really know how well I'm sleeping, but I would say that seems pretty accurate to me in terms of definitely the amount of sleep, but as far as the kind of sleep, that I can't really speak to. And then heart rate information as well. So anyways, super impressive watch. The one thing that I would maybe say I don't love about it is the fact that the only way to have that always on display during a run is to actually turn on the Illuma Run, and like I mentioned, it flashes constantly, and that's a little annoying, especially at night, to wear that. But other than that, you have to flip your wrist up in order to get it to turn on, and sometimes it's a little slow to do that. So that's one area where the Amazfit Bip for me is a little bit better, because that has that transreflective display always on, so that's really nice to have while you're running. But anyways, quick look at the iWOWNfit P1, a watch that I've been very impressed by so far. So anyways, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.